Hey guys, MeLikeBigBoom here, and welcome to Unturned 3.14.5. This week's update is another big one. It's crazy how many awesome updates we've been getting recently. We've had boats and helicopters and planes, and now we have another entire aspect to the game that was just added, and that is underwater combat. I know, it's crazy. You can now, using the new diving gear, swim underwater, create bases, shoot underwater, all sorts of stuff like that, and it is awesome, and I can't wait to show you guys it. To start, the one thing that was changed outside of the game are these new descriptions and little preview images for the new maps. It just takes the loading image and just puts it right here, and now we have descriptions for PI, Sunny Island off the east coast of Canada, Washington, a rainy state southwest of Canada, and Yukon, a harsh freezing territory in northwest Canada, stuff like that. It just gives you a little bit of a description for new players. Also, if you have a custom map, I believe you have to specify what that description is going to be. I'm not entirely sure, but I will figure that out and I will put it on the screen right now for those of you who have custom maps. Now, in terms of changes inside the game, I'm out here in the middle of the Puget Sound in the Washington map. To start, you can now equip items, whether it's guns or food or buildables, both inside the water and underwater. So this creates an entire new aspect of underwater combat, as well as creating underwater bases. So I can explore this base, I can put down items in here just as if it was on the surface, but you guys might be able to notice that I'm quickly running out of oxygen, so we do need to find a solution to that quickly. Now, in order to be able to efficiently create a base underwater and be able to stay in it, you're gonna need diving gear, which covers the IDs of 1178 to 1181. Now, you don't need the wetsuit top and bottom, you just need both the snorkel and the diving tank on your character at the same time, and then you'll be able to swim. Oh god. And that does reveal a potential downside to diving underwater and creating an underwater base. You're going to need to have a diving tank, which takes up a backpack slot, so you're not going to be able to have an Alice pack, and you're not going to be able to hold that many items when you're going underwater. So do keep that in mind, but once you do have a diving tank and a snorkel on your character at the same time, you are now able to swim underwater, and you'll notice that that oxygen meter is going down a lot slower. And also, as a side note, it's no longer blurry underwater because you have your little snorkel on. You can stay underwater. I can, if I were to put down some crates in here, I'd be able to access the inventory of those crates and just basically have an underwater base. I mean, this is like the best defense. You're not as easily vulnerable to explosives like grenades and RPGs. I mean, people can still toss grenades underwater, but finding the base in the first place is going to be pretty difficult. I mean, look at the how far you can see underwater. It's going to be pretty difficult to raid a base underwater. So this is definitely an aspect that you guys should be looking into. Now, even for having a diving tank, my oxygen is still going down pretty quickly, and you can fix that by upping your skill in the diving category, and this will allow you to stay underwater for a lot longer. Check this out. We're just at 99, and just now changed to 98, and now to 97, right there. I mean, we could stay underwater for several minutes, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and all you gotta do, once you start to get down to 10% or so, you just gotta quickly surface, and you're back to 100, and then you can go underwater. And also, I noticed this earlier, you might notice that there's no connection between your snorkel and your diving tank, so how does the oxygen actually get to you? Well, if you read the description of the snorkel, it draws oxygen from the diving tank by Wi-Fi. Back on the shore, we got some exciting new additions in terms of armor and clothing. To start over here on the right with armor, we have 3 new vests that we can put on your character. So before, all we had was a ghillie vest, military vest, and police vest. And now we have 3 new vests for us to try out. We have a Spec Ops Vest, a Makeshift armor vest, and a civilian vest. Very, very exciting. So now we actually have a lot of armor to choose from. My personal favorite is going to be the Spec Ops Vest, of course, because it's black, and you can have a totally blacked out character, but I'll get into that when it comes to the Spec Ops outfit. But anyway, here is what it looks like on your character. It's a combination of both the civilian vest and the military vest, with it having these horizontal lines here, as well as some pouches for your ammo. Civilian vest is the same thing minus the ammo pouches and is red in color. Some of you guys might remember this from Unturned Classic. There was also a civilian vest of red color and with these horizontal lines in that as well. And then lastly, we have this makeshift armor vest, which is obviously made out of scrap metal and I think maybe a little bit of leather. That's what that looks like on the back, but I will put the crafting recipe on the screen right now. This is probably going to be the worst armor, even worse than civilian armor, but of course you can craft this, so that's really important. But anyway, all of these, very nice additions. Now, the Spec Ops Vest that I had discussed earlier is my favorite. It is essentially a set of military clothes but black in color. So you can walk around like a ninja. It's very awesome. Check this guy out. It is super cool. It says JTF 2 on the side, I think, which is Joint Task Force 2, which is some elite special operations thing in Canada that deals with counterterrorism. So you are now a counter-terrorist. Very, very cool. It also comes with the Spec Ops Rucksack, which is the second biggest backpack in the game, just behind the Alice Pack, as it has 2 less rows than the Alice Pack. But it is black in color, and it'll camouflage and fit better with your Spec Ops outfit. Also over here in this crate, we have new duffel bags, and these are all the same, but they do cover the IDs of 1182 to 1189 because they have different colors. You know, you got black, white, green, yellow, blue, orange, and then there's also, I believe, purple. And then there's like one more color that I'm not entirely sure of. But I'm all for adding new backpacks because before this, all we had were 4 backpacks. We had the leather pack, day pack, travel pack, and Alice pack. That's all we had. And now we have some new ones to mess around with. We have the Spec Ops rucksack, and now we have the duffel bag, and they just create more things to find and choose from, and I'm always for that. Now the duffel bag is actually quite interesting because it's a duffel bag, not a backpack. So he kind of wears it around his shoulder and it kind of goes diagonally across his back and it looks pretty cool. I suppose you could consider the diving tank a backpack as well, but it's really not because it's really just 8 slots and you can only fit this much stuff in there. Also, the Eagle Fire can now be put in burst modes that it has a burst fire of 3 shots. So now the Eagle Fire is actually pretty good. Check this out. You can have this 3-round burst. I'm interested to see what other guns will have burst fire in the future. Also, some of you guys might have been wondering what this GPS and chart means in my inventory, and these are super cool. So back in Unturned Classic, some of you guys might have known that in order to figure out where you were going in the map, you needed to actually find a physical map. And that is what Unturned 3 has now just added, at least in normal mode. I believe on easy mode, you are still given the map information here. But if you are in normal mode or on hard mode, you're going to need to find either a chart or a GPS to be able to figure out what is here. If these are not in my inventory, you'll notice that this says no chart found. It's got some static here. I'm not going to be able to figure out where I am in this map. But let's say I'm walking around, I went over to the campgrounds and I found a chart. It's now in my inventory. As long as it's just in my inventory, you don't need to equip it or anything. It will now update this information here to include a chart. And this is actually a really interesting looking chart. It's kind of like an actual printed chart. It's super cool looking. So that's what the chart looks like. And then also if you go around and you find a GPS, it will now allow you to swap between chart and GPS, or satellite view in this case, to the map that it was before. Also, there was a new melee weapon, the Scythe. This is not used for farming in the apocalypse. This is obviously used for decapitating some zombies. Check this thing out. This is awesome. And it is actually a really good melee weapon. You swing it super fast. It is a 2-hit kill on regular zombies. This guy might be a 3-hit kill. Or a 3-hit kill because the first hit was on his arm. But anyway, you can just run around and instantaneously just take out zombies like that. It's super awesome. You can obviously find this at farms. And one of the last additions was bullet trails. And this is pretty interesting. I do like how this is being handled. So right now, once you shoot, you will notice that it's very difficult to see because it's just so fast that there are bullet trails that are showing up. It's easier to see at nighttime, as you can see, like so. And even easier to see if you're looking at it from a different perspective, like so. And this will make it to where shooting a gun, sniping specifically, is not going to be as easy. You're going to need to make sure that you lay your shots on target because if you miss, it's going to be that much easier for people to find out where you are. If you want to cancel out these bullet trails, you need to put on a muzzle brake, and this will make it to where no muzzle flash and bullet trail will show. So you'll be completely hidden, although you'll still be heard, but it will make it that much difficult for people to find you. Also, for snipers that don't support barrel attachments, you're going to need to make sure that you get those shots on target to help keep yourself hidden. But anyway, bullet trails, I think it's going to make firearm combat a lot more interesting, also pretty intense. You know, you're going to have these tracer bullets flying by your head, pretty crazy stuff. Let me know you guys' thoughts on that as well. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up everything that was added in Unturned 3.14.5. Lots of awesome stuff added this update. I can't wait to use them in servers. There were a few minor little improvements and tweaks and fixes that I didn't cover in this video, but if you guys would like to check those out, as always, I will put the full update posts in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and do all that gibberish because MeLikeBigBoom is out.